Shoot the Puck is back in the Sunshine State. Did you think this was going to happen?
I was sure of it.
Yeah.
I'm usually not the best person to ask, but I just went to the Game 4 in Edmonton thinking it's not going to be tonight. I didn't think it was going to be 8-1, but I don't know. I felt like the Oilers have been through so much this year, and to lose on home ice, you saw the atmosphere. I mean, the whole city was there in anticipation. Let's face it too, it's hard to beat someone 4 times in a row.
Yeah.
So I don't know what happens next. They didn't give me the movie script, but I did expect to be back here.
Yeah, I'm happy I went out early after the game and I walked across the street and did some work at a restaurant there instead of being in the press room, because I get to see like all the cars and everything that was going on outside, because it was pretty crazy.
Canada's different.
Yeah.
You know, we all know from international tournaments that, you know, this idea of Canadians, but these games matter more in a Canadian city. There's just no way around it. It's not to say there aren't American hockey fans, but this is my 17th final. Most of them have been in American cities. There's always excitement around the games, but it's on another level when you're in Vancouver or Edmonton. Maybe one day we'll see it in Toronto or somewhere else. I haven't covered Montreal in a final, but I just feel as though there's something more in the Canadians' hearts that even if you're not a big fan, something like this really pulls you into the streets. And, you know, we only have 3 months of nice weather, so you might as well get out there and enjoy it when you're out there in June.
How many of those 17 times has it been a Canadian team in the final?
Ottawa, 2007, Vancouver, 2011, and then Montreal in 2021, but that was the COVID year, and so there was no fans in the stands, so it was a different environment. But it's only those 4 because I missed the Edmonton 06 and then Calgary 2004. So this is only the 3rd time. And it's only the 2nd time with fans, like only the 2nd normal time.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy, but it's gonna be crazy when the time comes when a Canadian team finally gets to win this.
I just hope they don't riot. That's my only thought. I hate to have that thought, but I mean, it's 30 plus years of buildup, right? And there's I probably like in Sweden, but there's a rivalry between the Canadian cities a little bit. And so I think there'll be a certain amount of like, we're the first Canadian city to get it done too, whenever it happens. And so, you know, I hope everything is civil and it's just happy celebrations, not nothing worse.
Maybe Bettman needs to find another job before that's going to happen.
No one's won since he took office. So I'm certainly not saying there's a conspiracy there or anything. I mean, look, these teams just haven't been well enough run by their management.
Yeah.
You know, most of the Canadian teams have lots of money at the ownership level. Most of them have full buildings. You know, like they're healthy businesses, but they haven't made the right personnel decisions and built rosters up. I mean, there's no reason. I mean, Bill Zito only took over the Panthers a couple years ago. There's no reason someone couldn't have come to a Canadian team and made the sort of trades he made. You know, obviously they had some good players here like Ekblad and Barkov, and then it turns out Bobrovsky's worth his contract. But, you know, I just think in Canada, sometimes I wonder if the fact there is such loyal support doesn't push the management a little bit more. You know, I came to Panther games here 10, 12 years ago. It was the worst place in the league. The worst. I mean, the weather's nice, the beach is nice, but there was never any energy in the rink. There's other sports teams around here that got way more attention. And so Florida Panthers had to become a good team to become a good business. And now they're a great team. It's a great atmosphere at their games. It's in the regular season through the playoffs, right to the final now. And so I just think, I wonder in Canada, in some of the Canadian cities, the Leafs don't have to be great. They're still going to sell their arena out. And if that is somehow affected the way things are run at the top, because and I don't just mean that in Toronto, it's been so hard for the Canadian teams to, I mean, as I said, 3 times in 17, 18 years that even one's got to the final and nobody's won it is crazy.
Yeah, it really is actually. So I have a couple of quick ones here.
Mm-hmm.
What's your full name?
Christopher Edward Johnston.
How old are you?
42.
What's your youth club?
Coburg Minor Hockey Association. We were the Cougars. Coburg Cougars.
How far is that from Toronto?
It's about 100 kilometers east, right on the lake.
Okay.
When I was a kid, it was far enough that nobody's parents worked in Toronto and lived in Coburg. But the way the world's changed, there's more and more people that live there and can make the commute on the train. So
yeah, it's not that bad.
Close, but not far. I can go for an afternoon and hang out with my dad and have dinner and drive back, no problem.
That's perfect, huh?
Yeah.
Family.
I've got a partner.
You got a partner?
No kids.
Yeah. Where do you live?
I live about 5 kilometers from downtown Toronto in an area called the Danforth. Very sort of family-oriented area. Like you wouldn't believe you were in Toronto. If you're ever just downtown and you only go 5 kilometers over here, it's like a different city. You know, talk to my neighbors, very friendly, very green, lots of trees, and I love living there.
What do you make?
Not enough. It could always be more, my friend.
Yes.
That's the only thing I've learned, but I'm lucky to make a good living covering hockey. I mean, I'm living my dream. I wish I could play in the league, but if I couldn't play in the NHL, this is the next best thing.
Yeah, as close as possible, not being on the ice, I guess.
And we'll be on the ice when the Cup's won.
Yes, I can't wait for that.
We just don't get to touch it, but
exactly.
We take pictures.
Exactly. What do you eat?
I like meat. So if it's an ideal dinner for me, something like steak. I don't eat a lot of junk food, but I like a good hearty meal.
What do you drink?
Beer, wine, water.
What do you watch?
Hockey. Sports, really. I mean, as a fan, I like golf. I like American football. In the summer, I'll watch some baseball. But during the season, honestly, I don't even watch TV. Like I don't really follow any series. I just watch sports. I mean, it's a full-time job. Part of it's work, and part of that's what I love to do.
What do you listen to?
A lot of podcasts these days. Not very many sports podcasts, actually. I mean, for some reason, I really like investing and sort of money matters. And so when I have like a free time or when I'm out for a jog, I like listening to different podcasts to do with investing and things like that.
What do you play?
What do I play? I guess I'm playing a role on TV. I mean, I like to think I play every day. I mean, I don't take things too seriously. I don't lose sight of how fortunate I am to do this job. So I think I'm playing. I think I'm playing all the time. I like to have fun, man. So I don't play any sports anymore, really. Sometimes some pickleball, but I feel like there's a lot of play in my day to day.
And what do you follow?
My heart.
That's a good answer.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, I used to have to get right into this too, because how much are you running these days?
I did 8K today.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Jesus.
I just passed 1,500 days where I've run every day.
Oh, so you're still in?
Yeah.
Oh, you're still doing that?
Yeah. I mean, I can give you the exact count. I don't have it off the top of my head, but I keep it in a file. So it's 1,510 days since I last had a day without a run.
I mean, that's amazing. I actually thought you did it for some time and then you stopped, but still running, but not every day. But you're still out there. Still
every day. I mean, it was hard. Yesterday was my travel day from Edmonton to here, and I landed at 7:30 or 8 p.m. in the night. Yeah. And I came to the hotel and checked in, and first thing I did is go for my run because I didn't have time to run at 3 a.m. before I got on the flight from Edmonton. So it's a little challenging on the travel days. Same when I've gone over to Europe, actually, because we fly overnight flight there. And if there's a connection, like when I went to Stockholm in November, I remember I was exhausted and had to go run around, what's that area called? Skepsholmen. I love that island, and then, where the water is there. So, but haven't missed a day in over 4 years.
That's impressive.
Thanks.
So are you coming back to Sweden this year too? Feels like an annual thing for you now?
I hope so. I don't have any plans as of right now to be there, but it's one of my favorite places, especially in the summertime. It's so nice. I remember you sent me to up on the hill. There was like a beer deck.
Yeah.
On a Friday in August, we were there, and it was just like beautiful, like just packed. I don't know, hundreds of people. And so if I can get back there, I'll be there.
So what do you think is going to happen tomorrow? I mean, are we going back to Alberta? Or Connor McDavid going to drag them back to Alberta?
I feel like it feels like this is the game Florida has to win because they're still in a comfortable spot. You know, they're at home. It's only 3-1. They have some room for error, I would say. And now they've experienced it once. What's it's like to play when it's truly, if you win that game, you win the Stanley Cup. I feel like it's really lined up for Florida to win. But if they don't, I think all bets are off. I mean, just the if they get dragged back to Alberta, it's not just them, right? There is a plane of people. When that game was played on, was it Saturday?
Yeah.
A plane took off from Fort Lauderdale at 9 a.m., six plus hours there with all the friends and family who coming to party.
Yeah.
They watched them lose 8-1. They didn't even stay in a hotel. They flew right back, 6 hours back.
Yeah.
And then, again, everything's still fine. Like, there's no reason to panic. But if they lose again, the idea that they all have to fly back up there, I just think that there's a lot of pressure in that, no matter who you are. And obviously, these are the elite athletes that have dealt with pressure their entire lives and dealt with it quite well to get to where they are. But it's a hard thing to do. And so what my heart tells me, quite honestly, is I think we see Florida win the Cup tomorrow. But if they don't, if for whatever reason it could be a bad bounce, they might play the game of their lives and something bad happens or they have a tough goaltending performance or any number of things, then I think we're in for an all-time series because, I mean, 3-0 down to winning the Cup hasn't happened since 1942. Was obviously a different world, a different league at that time. And the fact you have McDavid in it, I mean, it could be something special. But my gut is saying Florida wins it in Game 5.
Yeah. Yeah, if they don't, it's going to be amazing to go back just for Game 6 in Rogers Place. That's probably going to be the best hockey game I've ever seen doing this. I'm guessing.
Honestly, Games 3 and 4 there, especially even Game 3, like the build up to the game, the anthem. Like, I was thinking that might be the best experience I've had in an arena. The only thing even close in my mind was the 2010 Vancouver Olympics. I covered the men's hockey there. And so being in Canada and the team got to the gold medal game and played the U.S. and won. And like that was, I remember that being like it's like, okay, there's loud and crazy and then there's something even higher. Like that is the closest thing I've seen since then. Like the hair was standing up on my arms. Like they have the anthem singer in the crowd. So many of the, I'm not even that much of a patriot. It's not just, I'm not saying this just as a Canadian. It's just, you could feel this energy.
Yeah.
And again, it's different. Like the Stanley Cup's always awesome, but it was like they found another level. So I think if we get to a Game 6, that might be we might never see anything like that in our lives again. Who knows?
Yeah, you never know, I guess. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. But I'm fine with that. I'm fine with 5 games also, of course, but 6 games, 7 games, whatever. It's gonna be a good finish on this. Like, even doesn't matter which team wins pretty much. If you look at a Swedish perspective with Oliver Ekman-Larsson, like his 14th season, and
sure.
You have Ekholm playing his 13th season, I think. So at least 2 guys that's been around for a long time.
Is anyone going to know if it goes to Game 6 or will midsummer just like no one's even going to realize there's a game played?
Because they're playing on
Friday.
Oh yeah, that's right.
21st.
Oh, but that's going to be pretty good, I think. People are going to stay up, have a midsummer party, and then you finish it off with like having something to eat maybe and watch the game.
Okay.
And everybody's going to fall asleep in the first intermission, of course. But
why don't you and I fly back to Sweden and we'll watch that one from there? We won't go to Edmonton instead.
That would be awesome. You should go to my summer house. I just got a text actually from...
Imagine I said that to my boss. Sorry, I missed the game. I went to Sweden instead.
Send photos.
I wanted to get on the ground reaction from the Swedes.
Yeah. No, I got a text that a buddy of mine has been there to took care of some things before the summer that you have to do.
Yeah.
It's all been taken care of now, so I don't need to do it when I get back. So that was very nice.
That's very, very nice.
Good news today. But for you now, as an insider, it's getting close to July 1st. How do you notice that in your typical workday right now?
Well, it's weird. It's weird to still be covering the Stanley Cup final. and really starting to think, players are going to get bought out 2 days after the cup ends. But is that going to be this week or is it next week? Either way, it's coming close. So usually we just have more of a gap between when the Stanley Cup is handed out and all the business of the league starts up. And the truth is the business of the league is starting up and the Stanley Cup's still here. It's the final's still going on. And so it's strange. It's busy. And quite honestly, my focus, even though I'm at the games, is starting to shift more and more to that off season because it will come very fast between the players starting to get bought out. Free agency is July 1st, very close to now. And, the draft, June 27th, 28th, 29th time, there's usually a bunch of trades that happen there. So this is it's like taking a Coke bottle and shaking it up. It feels like we're ready for an explosion of news that's going to happen soon. And so I'm just trying to start to get a feel for what's happening behind the scenes, even while we're on the scene covering these games.
Do you think that Vancouver is going to get it done with Elias Lindholm?
My gut says no. Look at it from the player side of things. I mean, if he had to play out this whole season as a free agent, he had to move mid-season. That's not easy to do. To get this close to July 1st, I mean, that's a pretty big opportunity.
Yeah.
It gives him one chance where he can choose any team that signs him. He can try to pit the teams against each other when it comes to his next contract, or even just it's a matter of talking to the coaches, almost picking your situation. Where are you going to play in the lineup? What's the best for him and for his family? And so I think when it's not necessarily a comment on Vancouver because I could see a fit there for him, but it's hard not to go to July 1st. If you already get to June 17th, he did the hard part.
Yeah.
He had to play without any certainty this year. And obviously it was a tough season for him in terms of his production went down. But I still think he's going to be in high demand on the open market. There's just not a lot of quality centermen that are there to be signed. And so, I can't say 100% he's going to market, but my instincts suggest that he's going to test free agency because most people would in his shoes unless Vancouver wanted to overpay him.
So another interesting player right now for us is Oliver, of course. What do you think is going to happen to him now? Maybe it's hard to know if they're not going to win the Stanley Cup or not yet, but anyway, even so, he had a good year. I mean,
he had a really good year.
Yeah.
I think that there's a contract to be made there. I mean, the hard part for them, you're asking how do I deal with it?
Yeah.
How did they deal with it?
Yeah.
If you're the GM, you're focused on making sure your team's doing the right things and everything's operating well behind the scenes. And in the back of your mind, there's going to be hard decisions to come. I mean, Florida has some difficult choices here. Sam Reinhart, after a 57-goal regular season, he's a free agent. Brandon Montour has played such a big role in this team the last 2 years, going to the Cup final. He's a free agent. And Oliver, you have players like him who maybe more role players at this stage of his career. And there's just not enough money to go around in a cap world to keep them all. My best guess is that Reinhart is likely to stay. I think that Brandon Montour is just going to have priced himself beyond what the Panthers can pay and what, frankly, the market will yield for him. I mean, they got Gustav Forsling on a great deal on that extension he signed, $5.75 million at the trade deadline. I would think that's where Florida's ceiling is for Montour. And it's a great place to live, but that would be leaving money on the table for him. I mean, every player has to make his own decision. I think Forsling probably left some money on the table. He did it for a good reason. He's happy where he is. And he's comfortable with that decision, but not everyone's going to make the same one. And so it's a long way of getting to your original question. I think someone like Ekman Larsson will be more important because of the possibility you're losing someone like Montour from that blue line. You're going to want some stability back there. And so, I think that there's a contract to be done there, but I don't think it's done and it's in the drawer or anything because there's bigger things at hand right now.
So to round things off here, I would like to have your top 5 Swedish players in the league. Maybe players that are not in the league anymore either. You can choose whatever you want. So 2 defensemen, 2 forwards.
I have a great affinity for Swedes.
Yeah.
So it's hard. I mean, am I picking my favorite players to watch play? Am I talking about my favorite players maybe to interact with or that I got to know a little bit the way we do?
Tough.
Do I have to explain why or?
No.
Well, I think my blue line, Victor Hedman is my number 1 D.
Yep.
Just a solid guy that I've, spent a lot of time around during his career in Tampa, all the success he's had. I got a lot of time for Victor. So he's definitely on my blue line. He's the same generation, but I might be going Carlson on the right side because Eric is he's one of a kind. Like, I've never met anyone like him. He's always been entertaining. I found funny.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Awesome guy, and then he's been an awesome player. I mean, I covered that 2017 playoffs in Ottawa. That might be one of the highest levels I've ever seen any individual player have in that playoffs. I mean, he was that good for the Senators. So I'll go with him. I mean, I have to pick William Nylander up front. I've spent a lot of time covering the Maple Leafs, and still remember I was at the Sheraton Hotel in Stockholm a few years ago when they did the media tour there. And he saw me, and he comes like, "What are you doing here?" Like, he was like, because he's not, he's usually a pretty calm guy, very stoic, always polite, but never sort of too. But I remember he was just shocked to see this random Toronto reporter show up in Stockholm in August.
I see you every day, basically.
Yeah, and the guy rides the subway in Toronto, he's, as do I.
Yeah.
William Nylander rides the TTC to the games. I ride the TTC to the games. Yeah. Now, nobody's bothering me there. It seems like he's probably getting. They're putting his picture on the internet when they see him on a train.
No photos of you yet going on the subway?
No. But I do sometimes, like a drunk guy after a game. Sometimes will he's coming home from the game and what's going on with this thing. So I do have the odd conversation on there, but it's not the same as William. Man, I'm gonna pick all the Toronto Swedes if I'm not careful.
Yeah, there's been a few good ones.
I think I'll have Daniel Alfredsson.
Yeah.
Alfie, what a funny guy. Yeah. The very first NHL game I ever covered was the 2002 playoffs, and he was playing for Ottawa against Toronto. And he hit Darcy Tucker from behind, no penalty, and scored the winning goal. And I'll never forget that. He loved being kind of in. That was a big rivalry in the day, and I felt like he really embraced it, and just a super nice man.
Yeah. And everybody keeps saying that I haven't met him too much, but he's supposed to be a really funny guy. He has a lot of stuff going on around him. Yeah, and he's actually the rare Swede that stays in North America too, right? He's even well after his playing career. Who would be my last Swede? Past or present? I mean, the obvious one I could pick is Sundin. Yeah. I mean, he was a giant. Yeah. When I was he was actually, when I first started coming in as a reporter, he was already on the throne, right? Yeah. So I don't know Matt's quite as well, and I think he likes to be a little more in the background, especially nowadays. Yeah. What about a younger guy? There's a bunch, I guess. There's around.
I'm gonna go Nicholas Backstrom.
Yes.
As my center.
That's a good pick.
My first World Hockey Championship was in Riga in 2006, and I remember he was on the Swedish team. He hadn't played in the NHL yet. And he was so young. He was he was so quiet in English. But I remember interviewing him there. But obviously, he grew into having this fantastic NHL career and really super nice guy. So he's going to be the center on my all Swedish team. And now I just need a goaltender. Yes. I'll go with Anders Lindback.
That's a great choice, if you ask me.
Anders is my goaltender.
That sounds good.
That might be the weirdest Swedish team ever compiled. Yes. Past, present, future.
Yeah, but that was the rules, so that was good. That was really good.
It's hard because I don't think in terms of Swedes the same way you do, right? I mean, I don't have that filter automatically in my brain of where someone's from. Yeah. That isn't Canada. That isn't someone I know personally, but. I feel pretty good about my team. I think I could win some games with that team.
Sundin maybe he can be the coach maybe now.
Yeah, or the GM.
Or the GM, yeah.
The GM, he likes to sit in the back and sip his coffee. And
I've been playing some pickup hockey with him a couple of times the last few months, actually.
Really?
That's been a lot of fun. It's pretty cool just to be there on the bench.
How good is he still?
Skating. Oh, he's good.
Who else? Is there anyone better in the league right now?
No, but it's more like it's a CCM who has that pickup game going.
Okay.
So there are a different hockey people basically.
Sure.
A lot of them old players that are still very, very good. So
do you ever sit on the same team, or is it always against him?
it's always against Matt's team.
Okay.
Yeah. So but it's interesting. Well,
that's got to be surreal.
Yeah, and there's so many good players on that team. So when you get the puck, you pass it along to somebody that's the first thought. That's what you're gonna do.
Right.
It's not like when you're playing with your other buddies and you can go around for 2 minutes with the puck or anything. No.
Good for you. I wouldn't even have a place on that ice. Like that would not be a good thing.
So, Chris, what's the rest of your day look like?
Well, still have a radio interview back in Toronto, and I'll make a few phone calls and texts for finding out info. But this is a pretty relaxed one today. Have a nice dinner, and then Game 5 of the Stanley Cup tomorrow.
Yeah, sounds good. It's gonna be fun to see if we're going back or not. But I love that Connor actually said the way he said it, like the last game. That was pretty cool.
Dragged them back to
Alberta. That's probably a lot of fans love that.
Yeah, I think Connor, he's not the greatest interview in the league, but I think he's come a long way. I think he's much better than earlier in his career, and I think there's something there. He's definitely got an edge to him a little bit, and that was an edgy. I would say it's a subtlety with the language, but it's a subtly drag them back. Like we know they won't want to come back. I'm with you. I think that there was something in that there, and look at the Oilers. I have to say I've only really been around this team the last 10 days or 2 weeks. They seem like they psychologically are in a great place. I just think they saw so much shit this year that nothing is going to make them sort of panic or what have you. I mean, they were literally in last place in the league in this, after 4 or 5 weeks of the season. They were down against Vancouver, down against Dallas. I think they have the makeup of the kind of team to do it. But, I mean, it's so hard. How are you going to beat them 3 more times?
Yeah.
With no room for error.
No. We'll see. What did you have in Bjurman's prediction? Final prediction.
I had Oilers in 6.
Oilers in 6.
So I was wrong. But
yeah.
Get used to that. I mean, my predictions are not usually that spot on.
I had Oilers in 7. So.
Oh, you're still alive.
Let's see what's going to happen. All right. Thank you, Chris.
Tack så mycket.